Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Weekend Wrap Up Show. I'm David Thomas, and Mr. Josh Blevins is sitting across from me. Josh, you've had a busy week.
I've had a busy week, and let me just say, if anybody is watching us live right now, why are you watching us live? It is nice outside. Go outside.
So, Josh.
Go away.
No,
I'm just kidding. Don't go away. But it is, man, it's a beautiful day outside. So
yeah.
It is a great day. So a great day to be here in the city. I'm opening today with a mea culpa. Believe it or not, I'm not perfect, and I made mistakes.
What's a mea culpa?
Week. I think it's where you own up to something where you mess something up.
Right.
And I know you think I'm perfect, but believe it or not, I make mistakes. And at the end of last week's show, I announced a couple events, and I gave the total wrong date. So I just want to clear it up right off the top. And luckily, I gave the dates a week early, so nobody's missed them yet. I just want to make sure we're clear that they're both of these are happening today, this evening at. Check it out. 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Chili supper for Cascade FFA. Is that Future Farmers of America?
Future Farmers of America.
Chili supper and auction at Cascade High School. $5 a ticket. Go out and support the future farmers. That's a good thing. And then what I think is going to be a big one tonight, Fairhaven Baptist starting at 4 o'clock. The Savannah Morton and Family Benefit Dinner and Live Auction. This is barbecue. This one's $10 a plate. Live auction, I believe, starts at 5:30. I've seen a bunch of pictures. They get a lot of
goodies.
Cool, a lot of guns. I think they had like 5 or 6 guns.
Yeah. Bedford County, man.
Yeah, so some of those they're auctioning. Some of them, I think they were doing the raffle. One, at least, they were doing a raffle on. So get out and support that. Also a good cause as well.
Very good cause.
And then on my way in, it was a beautiful day, and I stopped and I got coffee. Can you believe that?
I see that.
I got coffee. So,
did you find a place to get coffee?
It was hard to find a place. I just want to point out that it was very hard to find somewhere. But no, the reason I'm going to point this out is because I have a Starbucks cup here, David.
I see.
Normally, I'm buying local, and I don't want to get killed on social media for having a Starbucks cup. So I kind of wanted to explain myself just a little bit.
Explain.
I was running late.
Yeah.
I had to get here. We're on a tight schedule.
Yeah.
And the Green Logo Company, they have this app. And while I was sitting in my driveway, I ordered my coffee. And when I pulled up, it was ready and I could grab it and go and still get here on time. So that's one excuse. The other is you did that nice poster of 8 different coffee companies.
Well, it's the coffee gang.
The coffee gangs. I just want to say publicly and on the air, I contributed to 4 different coffee gangs this week.
Really?
Some of the gangs I contributed to multiple times. So I might be part of the reason that we have so many gangs. I made many contributions to the coffee gangs.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Including local ones. So,
of course.
Actually, there's more local, I think, than otherwise. But
right.
Yes.
Right.
Many coffee
I don't know if you noticed, but the ones across the top, the 4 across the top
were the big guys.
Were corporates.
Those were your corporates.
And the 4 along the bottom were sort of like smaller family.
Local.
Okay.
So, yes, I contributed to half of the coffee gangs.
That was not by accident.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
That was intentional. So, and there was a comment. I want to just throw a little plug in there. Artie All the Time, just off the square. We did not put them in the coffee gangs.
But they're doing coffee too.
They have a little coffee shop in the back where I know that's not their primary business. Is why you didn't pick them out as one of our coffee shops. They do the art and other stuff, but they also have coffee. Yeah. So if you get to the other 8 and you can't get in, you go to Artie All the Time.
And there's other places around too.
Oh, there's a lot of other places you get coffee. All the gas stations have coffee. A lot of restaurants. You got a Huddle House. You got a Waffle House.
Hey, Waffle House has pretty good coffee.
Yeah, I had Pope's coffee this week. That's another one. That was outside the gangs.
My kitchen's got pretty good coffee.
I had some coffee as well. So just wanted to clear all that up. But I think we have several sponsors today. We need to thank.
Yes, we do. We have our long-time sponsor, Dennis Young.
He's been with us for about 48 years, I think.
48 years.
Yeah, and counting.
And then we have 2 new ones. We have the Dream Team.
The Dream Team.
That is Diane and Madison Clanton with Coldwell Banker Realty.
Okay.
They have joined us, and we appreciate them. And
I think their last name is Arnold, but you can call him whatever you want.
Arnold, what I call him?
I think you called him Clanton, but
Clanton.
You did.
Arnold Clanton. We got a lot of different, just long time.
Watch the commercial and you know who they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we also have Cutting Edge Optical,
which used to be across from Piggly Wiggly.
Right. And they have moved over next to Elite Therapy.
Okay.
Right next on North Main Street. So we appreciate all 3 of those sponsors for allowing us to do this. It helps offset the cost of putting this little production together, and we thank them. Why don't we stop right now and hear from all 3 of them, and then we'll let you jump in when we come back.
We'll dive into the news after that.
All right. We'll be right back.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
When you're ready to buy or sell in Middle Tennessee, you want someone who knows this community inside and out. Meet Diane and Madison Arnold, Shelbyville's trusted real estate team with decades of local experience and award-winning results. Whether it's finding your dream home, pricing your property to sell, or navigating every step of the transaction with confidence, they're with you from start to finish. As part of Coldwell Banker Southern Realty, they pair hometown expertise with powerful market tools to help you move with confidence. Call Diane and Madison today and experience the personal service and local knowledge that makes all the difference.
For clear vision and trusted care, choose Cutting Edge Optical. We provide comprehensive eye exams, expert contact lens fittings, and a wide selection of quality frames to match your style and budget. Need glasses fast? We even offer same-day eyeglasses to keep you seeing clearly without the wait. Our experienced team is committed to personalized service and helping you see your best every day. Visit Cutting Edge Optical at 1114 North Main Street in Shelbyville, or call 931-488-5778 to schedule your appointment today.
All righty, welcome into the weekend wrap-up show. Josh Blevins is sitting across from me with a big long sheet of paper with a lot of topics to talk about.
This has been a busy week. We're going to lead like we have sometimes in the past with the Uncle Nearest story that continues to be one of the bigger ones that's top of mind. That's the one that when we post about it, the most people respond, and it's getting the most traction nationwide, not just here locally.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to rehash everything. I spent several hours yesterday.
Yes.
I think it was yesterday, compiling, going through everything that happened this week and tried to get it down into a bite-sized chunk. It was still fairly long, but hopefully where people would understand what had gone on this week. So much, hundreds of pages. I've read through most of them. Some of the exhibits I haven't gotten through. In a nutshell, there is continuing. Basically, we're waiting on the big case. There's two motions that have been hanging out there for a couple months now.
Yeah.
And there were several hundred pages of filings, just the same back and forth of the one side saying, hey, you're bankrupt and, not making money. The other side saying, hey, no, we're not. We're making money. We're doing good. But the other thing that had kind of gotten thrown in the mix in the last week is apart from the main corporation and the main federal lawsuit, there was filed, I mean, there was a notice in our local paper, two notices back to back weeks stating that First Bank, which has nothing to do with this other thing over here, had loaned some money to a company called Shelbyville Grand LLC, which is wholly owned by Keith Weaver, who's obviously involved in this thing over here. And First Bank's allegation is that he has borrowed, or this company, this LLC, has borrowed money from them, not made the payments, much smaller loan amount. Didn't mention, I don't think the loan amount was even mentioned in the paperwork. It may have been. But either way, they want their money as well. And because this is not tied up over here yet, they've gone ahead and filed to try to have a foreclosure auction on the three properties that are securing their loan. The issue with that is that Shelbyville Grand LLC has been significantly mentioned over here in the big one as something that the bank, Farm Credit, and also the receiver that is running the bigger operation now has said, hey, we feel like there may have been some commingling of funds here. So we want to get our hands on that LLC. So the First Bank action is set to happen March 20th, but the judge is going to get all his information next week on these filings. He could rule sometime before March 20th saying, hey, I feel like this LLC might belong over here in this bigger thing. Right. If he does that, that would likely put a stay or a stop on the March 20th.
Okay, so the evidence that the receiver would have to have would be where he had proof of transfer of funds
Well, there's been,
and there's a lot of that.
Well, he's been fairly able to prove transfers. You got to be able to prove that these transfers of funds led to some kind of a breaking of the corporate veil, I think is the official wording on it. But where they've done some stuff that they weren't supposed to do in an accounting standpoint. I mean, the one corporation is allowed to send money to the other corporation if they're buying a specific good or a service or something at a market rate. But if there's, if you said you were, for instance, renting them a building, and the building was worth a $4,000 lease pay, and none of this has been proven. I'm just saying, as an example, say there was a building and market rate would be $4,000 and you've been paying $100,000 a month to that corporation. You say something's going wrong. So they've got to look at stuff like that. I just wanted to go just real quick. For whatever reason, I woke up early this morning. I still had some time on my hand. And I read through a lot of these documents again, and something I came across that's just, it's neither here nor there, but it just kind of shows a little bit of, there's been a lot of talk about, the bank is just trying to, take this company from them and this and that. These are a set of loans, and these aren't disputed. These are, they have everybody's signatures on them. These are a set of loans that Uncle Nearest took out starting in 2024, and they just give you an idea of the, I hate to use the word, almost desperation, the bad cash flow situation that the company had gotten into by 2024. So it started with just one, and the first loan was they received a wire transfer for $665,000, and in return for that $665,000 wire transfer, they agreed to make a little over $1 million in payments over at basically $32,000 a week. So if you do the math and run that through a finance calculator, that is they don't call these a loan. That they have to. There's a reason they don't, because of some of these rates that we're going to read you. But if you run that through your finance calculator, that's an implied weekly interest rate of 2.85%. That is a nominal APR of a 148%.
That's loan shark,
pretty much. And that was the good one. That was of the ones that they had as their exhibits. That was actually the better of the loans. They went downhill from there.
Well, you could get a better loan rate at a payday loan place.
You couldn't get one this big.
No, but you could. You look at the rate, man. That's
So what happened from there was they went to a similar type of loan, but these ones guaranteed 1% of their cash deposits in their bank account. And in return for that, they gave this loan company full access to log on to their bank account daily and follow the transactions. So the last one of these, this was the last one taken out in 2025. As these went on, it was kind of like a payday loan. You didn't pay one off, so you started rolling over. The very last loan that was done in this series, they received, again, a wire transfer, $560,000. The amount of payments they had to get that $560,000, $2.2 million in payments.
That's like at 1,000% interest.
$53,296 a week payment. And they had to, as part of this, they had full access to, this company had full access to the bank account. They had to give them 13.9% of everything that went into their bank account every week had to go to this company. And you run that through a cash flow, same thing, same math. They repaid 2.2, received 967 for 2 weeks. That's 3.9% weekly APR, 203% nominal, and an effective APR of over 600%. So that just kind of shows what the situation was, as far as we're in a bind for cash flow that we're willing to sign on to this type of a loan to get through.
Here comes an opinion time. Okay.
And
Josh, you are a business person,
right?
I'm a business person. If I'm in that position, I'm bankrupt. I mean, that's just the way I'm viewing that.
Yeah. If
I
cash
have to
flow
do
position
that, and if I'm taking loans to make payments on loans, I'm bankrupt.
Yeah.
At some level there, I'm bankrupt.
Sure. Yeah.
That is not good.
Yeah, it's not good. But that's just buried in hundreds of pages of stuff. But and those are not disputed facts. They've got bigger things. There's a big dispute over a $20 million deal now. If it was a loan, if it was a purchase of shares, a lot of moving parts. Bottom line is there's one more round of paperwork coming next week. And then at that point, surely the judge is going to rule. He's seen and heard so much. He's going to rule on, does the receivership stay in place? And does the receivership expand to take in the other 7 LLCs? One of those 7 is the one that owns the property that First Bank is now trying to foreclose on. So that's where we're at. I would be shocked if by the time we're sitting here next Saturday, we have a ruling yet, but we will have the final round of paperwork by then on the, quick side note, it was in the article as well, so we don't need to go too deep into it, but there was also a filing by the receiver saying he's got 3 buyers lined up for the property in Massachusetts, and he's asked the judge to go ahead and let him sell that property by March 19th. Judge came back and allowed everybody to file 2 rounds of paperwork on that in a quick succession. So sometime in early March, we'll also find out if he allows. And that would be the first big asset sale if he allows.
And that closing is like mid-March. And
March 19th. March 19th. Yeah. So everything on that has to wrap up by the 19th. So that's kind of where we're at. So we'll stay on top of that. A lot of moving parts. I have stopped doing the deal for a while. Things were a little spaced out, and we were writing something on every single filing that came out. I have a real job too, and other stuff. Yeah. So that's why I did it down to the weekly. I may have to go to a monthly. But that's why we're doing just the weekly update on that. As far as local, more hyper local than that. That's pretty local, but we're going to go even more local. Tuesday evening was the County Financial Management Committee at the Historic Court. No, it was not the Historic Court. It's at Dover Street. This happens every month on the 4th Tuesday. Wasn't a ton of information. A couple of things I wanted to cover. Solid waste, that would be our trash that everybody in the county, you don't get yours picked up. You got to take it to the convenience center.
Yep.
Currently, we are trucking that. The county is to a landfill here within the state. If all works according to plan, starting April 1st, all county trash and city as well will go to the transfer station currently being built behind Shelbyville Central High School. Will get loaded into trucks and it will get driven to Alabama. So we're sending our trash to Alabama.
Tennessee fans are real happy about that.
Yes. No more. We're no longer filling Tennessee landfills. We'll be filling Alabama landfills. In the world of finance, they gave us the monthly financial numbers. Property tax in the county is up just a hair so far, a little over $145,000 more than last year. This is the big month for property tax collections, so we don't really know where that's going to land until after we get the next report. But one that is more indicative of where we're at in the year, sales tax revenue. Now we're at the halfway point of collections, the way the math and the months work. And halfway into the year, we're up $550,000 in sales tax, which shows that people are spending more money. But as we know, a lot of that could just be inflation related. But either way, more money.
It's a combination of two things. I think there's been a big push to support local businesses.
Yeah.
And your prices are still high and going higher.
Prices are still high. Yeah.
So as a combination, it's good to see the part of it that people are shopping local.
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of it is.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. Even if they shop at Amazon, we get it now. So that all changed. I know you don't like the gray vans.
Let me tell you, the gray vans are the gray vans. They're swarming like bees around here, man.
They are, but that money does come back into the local.
So can we call Amazon local now? Is that what we're saying?
I'm not calling them local.
They spend a lot of time in my driveway, and
they do. I immediately left that finance meeting and drove down across town to the Shelbyville Power, Water, and Sewer Board meeting. First item they had on their agenda was they have hired a company, Barge. I believe it's Barge Design Solutions. Barge is the main name, I think. And this company is going to survey their building, talk to their people, and decide their building, which I can't remember. I think they said it was built in the 50s. It's been there a long time.
50s.
Long time. They've outgrown it. So they're going to give them, there were 3 or 4 options, but mainly the options are, can we just rehab the existing building, cut out some walls, move some stuff around and still use it? Is there enough space? Option number 2 would be, could we rehab it, move some stuff around, and maybe take this wall and move it out a little bit and make it a little bit bigger? And then I think the other option was, could we just either tear it down or build a new one where it's at, or possibly build one. There's some other land around there, possibly build some and some other land around there. So they I say they need a new building. They're in, they've been in this one for a long time. They've outgrown it. So they're looking at what the most cost-effective way is to get to that. So side discussion that was had, I didn't have this on my rundown, but I'll mention it because I'd be curious to hear if there's any public feedback on this or not. But the street that runs in front of their building, which I believe is called South Main Street still. Yeah. They are hoping, and this would be a decision of the city, to have the city shut that street down so that they can possibly expand that building and also use that for parking and a drive-through. They would like that to know.
You're talking about public shutting it off there just past the old library and the Fly building.
Yeah.
Just past that.
And it would no longer be a public through street.
It'd have to shoot back over to Highway 82 there, probably.
Yeah, or it would just stop there and you'd have to take one of those side streets over, that one in front of the Fly.
Yeah.
So that will be up for consideration.
That might make sense.
It might. It definitely made sense for them because they need the space. Yeah. The other point was they agreed at this meeting to give the city some land behind their building as part of the Riverwalk project. So like, hey, we just gave you some land. Maybe you'd like to give us some land.
But you got to have access to that. That road does take people to that Riverside Park place where a lot of the ball teams practice.
River Bottom. Yeah, but you can get to River Bottom from the main highway.
Yeah, there's a little gate that goes through.
Right.
A little crazy maneuver.
It's a bad weird term, but it works for now. But yeah, that could probably all be reconfigured with a little thought. So they actually break this meeting into 3 different ones: power, water, and sewer. In the world of power, TVA sent them a letter and said, due to Winter Storm Fern, I don't know when we started naming our winter storms. I know
this happened a couple years ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm still not over that. But Winter Storm Fern caused a massive spike in natural gas costs.
Yeah.
Now, Shelbyville Power, Water, and Sewer doesn't sell natural gas, but they buy power. TVA makes their power with natural gas. So they were warned that the March fuel surcharge will likely, I think they actually said will actually be the highest in history. And they will get complaints about their March bills because they're expecting about they were saying an average hit to the guy at the end, the guy like me paying the power bill of about $18 or so per person. So you're going to get a higher bill than you expect.
With $18.
Yeah. So it's not going to be $100.
It's not, but it's 18, not terrible.
Yeah. You're going to get it. You're going to look at last year, said, man, my bill went up. Why'd it go up? Because I didn't use more power. This is why it went up. There's a fuel surcharge.
And the use of power doesn't necessarily dictate the price of power. Right. I mean, your end result is what it's costing per unit. And
and they wanted to be real clear. This money does not go to Shelbyville Power. They're not getting a windfall. Yeah. They said 80% of every dollar they get on the electric bill goes straight back to TVA. They're just reselling you TVA's power.
Yeah, so, and I've already seen some complaints and heard some complaints about the spike in the bill because of all the cold weather. It hit just here recently, that bill. And it's like, it went way up because like our heat units and our heaters and all that was running full force.
And you combine that with the fact that it costs TVA more to generate it. You add that on top of that and you end up with a higher bill.
It's compounded and it's just part of it.
Yeah. Other great news in the world of power on higher bills. TVA also sent them another notice that said they have entered a 180-day review period. They're considering, and they had a list. I didn't get any of this in writing, so I can't read off the list, but they had a list of changes they're considering making to how they bill wholesale to people like Shelbyville Power. The big one that stuck out to me was they're looking at peak time pricing. That happens in a lot of markets I've lived in the Northeast, and that is you pay more per kilowatt hour for the power you use during the daytime when everybody's doing everything than you do at nighttime. So I have particularly family members that when you do that, a lot of them do their laundry at night because it's actually cheaper to run your washer and dryer.
But does that filter down though to the individual customers?
Well, that would be the question. It would Shelbyville Power, and they didn't have that discussion, but I think we're on those super smart meters where you can do that. And it definitely, the technology exists because I've gotten bills like that where you pay more and they actually list what you use at different times a day. Yeah. So whether we end up there, I don't know. And TVA, this is all up for debate still. There's a lobbying group that Shelbyville Power is a part of. Everybody will push back and there'll be negotiations and we'll see where it all lands. But overall, they said the price of generating power and the amount of use of power has gone up, that they've got to make some changes to try to help. So this is what they're doing. In the world of water, nothing super big in water other than Flat Creek. They talked about, they've gone around and looked, and I guess Flat Creek had some really old water meters. They said they had some that had over 1 million gallons run through them over the years. And some of those older ones, they feel like, and maybe they're manual, I guess they're not digital. They're saying they may not be accurately measuring people's water usage there or water usage in general. So they're going to look at some kind of rehab project to replace all the old meters from Flat Creek with these new digital ones. It also allows them to drive, somehow there's some kind of magic radio system. They drive around with a truck. You know, you used to have to lift it up and look with your eyeballs at the reading, but they drive around with a truck at, as long as they stay under 45 miles an hour, I think they said.
You'll pick it up.
Beep, 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 it feeds it with radio signals, and they said in less than a day they can read all the meters.
I'm on Flat Creek Water, and I've got one of those old meters.
You got one of those old, you might be getting a new one.
Yeah, it sounds like
Well,
it.
bad thing is, if your old one wasn't working right and the new one is, your bill could go up.
I
So
promise you, it's
you feel
reading
like it's
too
reading
much.
right? Oh, you
It's
think it's
not,
reading the other
too
way.
much now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that I'm good.
Well,
Bring
maybe
it on.
maybe you'll
Bring
go
it
the
on.
other way. So they didn't
That
mention
thing
that
looks like a
possibility.
frisbee spinning sometimes,
Is it?
Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing's going on.
Oh, there's no water. Okay. All right. And then sewer. Let's get to sewer. This one, I think, is one you talked about the other day on your other show.
Yeah, yesterday we mentioned this.
There was announced that they received a letter from TDEC, I believe, and there is a second sewer moratorium in town now. This affects the south side. I heard a little bit of your discussion. I just want to clarify, because I think a statement was made that half the city's under a moratorium now.
Yeah.
That's not.
No, it's the edges.
Yeah, the east side is a fairly big area, but it's not a quarter of the city. And the south side is definitely not.
I think what Bo said that, and I think what he was referring to, we got a north, we've got an east and a south out of 4 possible
out of 4
areas.
points on the
half of us
on the
are-
compass.
All
yeah.
right, but it's the fringes.
It is the
where
fringes.
it's the places where development could occur.
Right. Now, in this case, there is no development plan that they were aware of that's not already been approved. So
Right.
nobody's going to be affected by this as far as being turned down for any work. However, they got to fix it. So what is going to happen is there will be a fix that they're going to have to get quotes and estimates on. We've already got a $6 million bill waiting on the east side. So now we're going to get a whatever on the south side.
About half that, probably.
Maybe they have no.
You got
too early to tell yet.
just
so.
kind of knowing that land right there. I used to live out there. You got Brookhaven that's sitting right past that,
Yeah.
and then you've got the backside of Brookhaven that has been developed out, and there's currently a development going in on the backside of Brookhaven toward the southwest of Brookhaven. They're building houses out there. They've cut stuff through. That added strain is going to continue right there because every time you add a house, it creates an impact of some sort.
Yeah.
So that's going to take place there. Yeah. Plus, there's another little place that sporadic development could occur, a house or two, which is not a big deal, but nothing else can go on because these guys are grandfathered in, but nothing else can be added. There's a lot of rock out there, Josh. So there's less likelihood of development because they had to blast. Yeah. Now the east is a different situation.
Yeah. East has held up some things. So what it's really going to come down to is whatever the dollar figure is, it was 6 million on the one, say it's whatever on the other, 2 million, 3 million. We don't know yet. All of that is probably going to end up rolled into a bond, and they're going to have to make payments on the bond, and those payments are going to have to be covered by rates. So they're going to have to do a rate adjustment at some point once they get all their facts and figures together. If they were super lucky, maybe there's a grant out there. I don't know if there's a lot of grants out there for the fact that your sewer stopped working. There might be, but I'm sure they would look for grants first. But if there is no grant, this is not. Even though this is Shelbyville Power, Water, and Sewer, this is not a city department. They operate as a separate entity.
Yeah.
They spend ratepayer money, not taxpayer money. So the only way to generate the money to fix this is ratepayer money, which means.
Yeah. So here's a question. I've thought about this, a question that people might have. How does this affect me? Okay. Most people's sewer bill are higher than their water bill. If you look at your water bill, because it costs a lot more to take care of sewer than it does water. Pumping water in the house is one thing. Getting the sewage out and then going and processing is another. Yeah. And then when you have issues come up like the collapsed lines of the old clay stuff, it's going to be costly to repair. So if you just look, everybody in the city of Shelbyville is going to be paying this.
This will be distributed
just
to
in this
all
area.
ratepayers.
Okay. So if you look at it, just rough estimate, you're probably going to see a 15 to 20% increase. I just did some rough math in my head on your sewer part. Okay. Not a major deal, but still people will notice it.
Yeah,
and it's in the average sewer bill. I don't know what they are, $70, $80, $90 maybe. It might go up to 115. I mean, it's going to be probably nothing massive, but every little bit, it's just another little nick at you.
It's just
that's a little,
it's not great news, but it's not
devastating.
Yeah, hopefully not. Last thing, same evening, Tuesday evening, left from that power meeting and went to the this was at the historic courthouse, County Planning Commission, first one ever, I believe, that was on the YouTube. So this was live streamed.
Yes.
Not a lot went on at that. You can always go back and watch the YouTube video. They did discuss, they're looking at some changes. There are subdivision regulations, including specifically, they're hoping to look at road width requirements on, say, if you want to put a subdivision out in the county. They talked about there's a lot of county roads that are skinny. They got skinny roads, and you don't want to put a big old subdivision on a skinny road because that's dangerous. Yeah. So, but I don't think they had a lot of rules with that. So they're looking at making some adjustments to those subdivision regulations. They want to get with, I think they even said they're going to try to bring in the county road superintendent next month.
Good idea. He knows the lay of the land.
He knows where the skinny roads are. And then there was also discussion of, and this has been going on since 2019.
Yeah, Josh, I got a comment about that.
Comprehensive plan. County comprehensive plan it's this close. It's so close. It's so close they can feel it, but it's not quite there. So at some point, we are going to have a plan for the county.
But here's my question. When you start discussing this in 2019, a lot of stuff has changed in Bedford County since 2019. My question is,
they've changed.
Has it been fluid, or have we been basing facts on 2019 facts? You've got to change.
It's been changed the whole way. It's a lot of this goes back. Well, first you had COVID, and then the company that they were using, they can't. Yeah, they can't. The company they're using, they can't keep people for whatever reason. So they've been working with a guy. And then he'd go to another company. So they had to start with another guy. And then they had to start with another guy. And recently there was another guy that left. So there's been a lot of guys.
Okay, a lot of guys that we're getting a company to help us with Bedford County.
Right. And the city did the same thing. I think it's even the same company.
Why can't the people in the county that live here understand what's going on? And then do we have to have a professional that uses expert in quotation? We have to do that to make it valid?
I don't know that you have to, but they generally start. What happened on the city side, I'm aware of it. I wasn't involved at the time, but they used the experts. The experts got them 75% there. We'll say that they probably would. The guy that worked on it that I know probably would say they didn't get us 75. We'll say 75%.
You're giving it.
I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt, the experts, and then our local expert had to get the rest of the way. And that's what's going to happen with this county one. The out-of-town expert, who now I believe they said they're dealing with somebody in Florida or somewhere, but they're going to get it a chunk of the way.
Somebody in Florida is going to guide Bedford County, Tennessee on their comprehensive plan for our county. And we've been doing this since 2019. That's 7 years.
It's gone on a while. So
this is our
we'll get there.
Speed of smell government taking place right here.
Government never moves fast. Right. So. All right. Another meeting. This is a big one. Had a long discussion about this yesterday.
Yeah, and I'm still running around in circles.
You're still running in circles. I'm still hearing a lot about it. I've heard about it this morning already. Thursday evening, City Planning Commission had a meeting. We met for a very long time. I didn't even time it. I know I was there. It felt like forever. But it was important. This was the discussion of the Remington Farms PUD that has been ongoing since I first started looking at it in 2023.
I went back and looked, Josh, December of 2023. So it has been 2 years, not 3.
Yeah, a little over 2 years. I don't want to get into a lot of nuts and bolts because we're still, we're still under consideration. There's still changes being made. I do want to touch on a couple general things, though, I know you had an extensive discussion yesterday about the Planning Commission.
Right.
And how the Planning Commission works. And I'm new to the Planning Commission, so I haven't been there for 20 years. I've been there like 1.5 or something. I don't know. I haven't done the math. But from what we have been told in our training so far, we get 2 sets of requests to the Planning Commission. We get requests that are, I believe the term is administrative in nature. Those would be things like site plans,
Right.
plats, concept plans, things that where you've got a piece of property and it's zoned a certain way, I-1, C2,
Right.
R3, whatever. Developer comes to the planning department, presents it, they work with the department heads, they get it into something that they feel is ready to go, meets all of our city
Right.
requirements, and then they bring it to us as the planning commission as kind of a final check to make sure
Right.
nothing was missed and that there's no disagreement between us on the planning
And the
commission
department.
and the department that looks at. We have I believe 2 full-time people that work on our planning, plus we have a city engineer that's not our city engineer. That's contracted, that's
Right.
outside. And then we have department heads that look at this as well. So you've got those type of things. We get a lot of those. That's probably a chunk of the ones we get.
Right.
Most of those, you don't get a lot of neighbor feedback, a lot of comment, most of those. And those have a very specific, very tight set of,
Because they have been zoned a certain way.
they're already zones. Those property owners have the legal right to that zoning to build as long as they fit within the zoning ordinance
Right.
and the subdivision regulations, they have a right to build on that piece of property that way. On the other hand, we get occasionally, less often, but we get legislative decision items. These are basically rezonings. I think they may be the only thing that's legislative. I'd have to go back and look. And this, what we were considering the other night, was a rezoning to what is called a PUD zoning. That is a legislative item. On a legislative item, there's not a specific list that we go down
Right.
and check boxes. What we do have, we have what we were just discussing, the comprehensive plan, which is a guiding document. It gives us guidelines of the direction of when that plan was made, what the vision was for the city. Now, I'll tell you, ours, and we've had this discussion a lot at Planning Commission, ours could probably use some updating already. It was approved a couple of years ago, and there's some places where it's no longer the direction we want to go with a few of the neighborhoods. But that's a guide. That's not a, and this is where even developers a lot of times get upset with us. They may look at the comprehensive plan and say, oh, this says this neighborhood could accept up to, for instance, R4 zoning.
Right.
So they'll say, oh, well, as soon as I bring an R4 zoning for this neighborhood, it's immediately going to get approved because it said in the comprehensive plan.
Keyword being could.
Could. It's a guide, but because this is a legislative decision in nature, there's a lot more leeway for us to look at what's better for the city of Shelbyville long term than just did they hit a few check boxes and meet the standard. It's a rezoning. There is no list of specific standards you got to hit. Now there's some, and often our staff report will get, staff will say, I looked at this and said, yeah, this is okay, or this is in the comprehensive plan. And we also have, as we do with the administrative things on the legislative side, we do have all the department heads look at it and they say, we can provide the services or we cannot provide the services. Now, I'll tell you, if it comes to us at the Planning Commission, by the time it gets to us, it wouldn't get to us with, as far as I know, and I've only been there a little over a year, I've never seen one that came in a department and said, we can't provide the services. Because if they had said, we can't provide the services, this thing would have been rejiggered somehow.
And here's the thing, it puts them, I was mentioning this yesterday, it puts them in an awkward position to say no to something because they know it's possible, I think, for them to check the box that we can provide the services. And if they could elaborate, if we have more police officers, if we have more firemen, we can provide it. But as it stands, I don't know what the criteria is, but they could conceivably say, yes, we can provide that with a footnote, and they don't have that opportunity to put that.
Well, they could put a footnote, but there's, obviously, and this is a hot potato, and all of these are hot potatoes.
Sure, they are.
There's a lot of politics involved because you've got, in almost all of these, you're going to have neighbor pushback on these. Nobody likes change, and So you've got to walk a fine line of, we're working for the people, we're doing what's right. We're also trying to look at what's good long term for the city of Shelbyville.
Sure. That's the objective.
The developer has rights as well.
Right.
They're not, evil. I know some people think developers are evil monsters with horns and a tail, and they, I've talked to a couple this week. I talked to a realtor this week. Can you believe that, David? I know,
absolutely
it's shocking. These are not, evil people looking to drive Shelbyville into an evil place. They're trying to make a living. And they've got their perspective on which direction they think the city goes. They may not all align, but everybody's hopefully working for the better good. So in this particular decision, I looked at it from my standpoint, and there were some, without getting into the nuts and bolts, which we'll discuss again probably as early as Tuesday at the planning commission, the study session. If you want to hear more details, turn into the study session. Right. But I felt like there were some infrastructure issues that didn't get addressed. There were specific, and I even sent a statement to the paper. They'll probably run it this week. There were specific things that even from the planning commission side, I looked at in the numbers they presented us without going into anecdotal evidence or this guy doesn't like it or that. Specific things regarding traffic and neighborhood cohesiveness, for lack of a better word, that didn't fit with this location at this time. And it wasn't that it's a bad development. It wasn't that this is a bad piece of this piece of property is probably, of what's left on my side of the city. I don't know as much the whole 360 degrees of the city. On my side of the city, this is probably the best piece of property, most prime for development on the west side of the city right now. It's big, it's got all the utilities, it's in the right location for development. However, I didn't feel, and it was borne out by some of the information they presented to us, that the infrastructure is at the point as we sit that we could accept this development without a deterioration of quality of life for some of the other people. Yeah. Now, if TDOT came back in 3 years and said, we got a bypass coming and it's coming on this day.
There you go.
If we had some money and could get Union Street to a 4-lane instead of a 2 or 3 lane, there's a couple things that could change that could alter that. The other thing that could happen, this developer or possibly another developer, if they had a different plan that didn't need as many units, that was a little more spread out, that would lessen the impact, lessen the need for some of the other improvements. So there's a number of different things that could happen. And I still feel like this will be developed at some point. And it may get, unfortunately, it may even get approved as it is. I don't agree that we're ready for it at this level. We haven't had the vote yet, so we don't know. But that was why I made my decision. That's where I differ a little bit in your discussion the other day of how tied the hands are of the planning commission. I feel like, and from what I've been led to believe in the training that they've given us so far. And again, I'm the newbie. I'm the youngest member of the planning commission by age and also by the amount of time I've been there. They gave us clear direction coming in and ongoing that legislative decisions are handled a little differently than administrative. That's what I took. Now I'll go out on a little bit more of a limb that I probably shouldn't, but the administrative side where we have the list of check boxes, I have had to, and I did in this meeting, we'll get to it here in just a second, I've had to vote yes on some developments that are not, I feel in my heart are not good for long-term for the city of Shelbyville, but they hit the boxes. I will say on the flip side, I have voted no on some that probably, if it came down to it, if the whole vote had gone no, we may have gotten into some kind of a legal issue. And the lawyer, we have a lawyer at every meeting, she would have had to step up and say something just because I couldn't in my heart vote yes, even though I knew that the check boxes were hit, it was still bad for the city. And I just couldn't bring myself to vote yes on it because it was that far off. Now let's jump to something that probably a lot of people missed from this meeting because everybody was focused on Remington Farms. Right. Remington Farms got this recommendation. It's not even voted on yet. That's the other thing. We had no power in this other than recommendation. In this meeting that happened afterwards that nobody paid attention to, we approved 253 new housing units in Shelbyville at the very same meeting that there was an unfavorable at the one project. 253 units got approved at the very same meeting. Every single one of those 253 units is a townhome unit.
Yeah.
So there's 150 in one development. There was 2 batches of 48, and there was just a small one, just a 7-unit one that's part of a bigger
So
development.
you sent it with a favorable recommendation.
Those are administrative. Those will never see the
Yeah.
city council. Those were already zoned correctly.
Okay.
And I will speak specifically on the one. The one is behind Victory Baptist.
Right.
I spoke up at the meeting, and I addressed the developer directly, which I don't think we're not supposed to do that. We're a little more loose at the planning commission. And this is not, without being too hard on it, this is not a great development. It's a bunch of townhomes lined up, row after row of house. He did, because of some pushback at a previous meeting, make some adjustments. He brought us a concept plan, and we were able to, he was amenable to make some changes. He did add a playground and some additional green space that he wasn't even technically required to do. I felt like he'd missed on his calculations, but he did anyways. And I took the time to thank him at the beginning and say, hey, I'm glad you did make some changes. Still not a great development, but I did vote yes on that one because he met the check
The
boxes.
zoning had already been taken care of.
The zoning was taken care of years ago, way
R4.
before it was R4. It doesn't, if you look at this particular piece of property it doesn't fit our comprehensive plan.
That's like I said. It's all screwed up.
Yeah, but it met the zoning.
Right.
It met the check boxes.
At the current
situation. I voted yes for it. Not a great development, but that's the difference. And it's, without going to all those meetings, it's hard to catch a lot of that nuance if you're not in that every meeting. I know we've got another one that I don't want to get into that I've heard from them, and they're like, we still don't understand how you're making your decision process. But that's the best explanation I can give. There's the 2 different types. That's how we handle them, and that's how we were told to handle them. I'm trying to stay within both what's legal, but also what's good for the city.
I have looked into this and tried to learn about it since this came up back a couple years ago. And what you're saying is exactly what I've seen in all the legal jargon that comes from the state of Tennessee, as far as that zoning being different than the check in the box part where it's already been zoned.
Right.
The leadway is there. And one of the words that I saw come up was compatibility.
Yeah.
About this doesn't fit and is not compatible with the developments around it. Right. Or in the area, or however you define it within that sector of the map or whatever. And then you have to kind of look at what the planning map says also. And you can say, okay, this development doesn't fit and it could adversely affect the neighbors, like you mentioned a little bit earlier. You have that leeway at that point.
Yeah. The other thing they tell us, and I think this is actually the legal verbiage that we really have to stay away from, you can't be arbitrary and capricious is the language they use on these decisions. And what that gets back to is something we've talked about on a few other ones. I'd rather not know who the developer is at all. You can't look at one of these and say, man, I like that person there. They're somebody I went to high school with, or they're somebody I've known forever. Or, man, they're a good person in the community, or whatever. That can't weigh anything. And it's hard. I mean, especially because we do know who it is. A lot of times we're like, man, I don't want to say no to that person, or whatever, or maybe the other way, maybe like, man, that guy's a piece of work. I don't want to say yes to him, but that should not weigh into it. I think it does sometimes. And that's another.
We're humans. So, we're humans, and it happens, and you can't just say this from what I saw. I just don't like it.
No,
you gotta have a reason why you don't, and it has to line up with the criteria that allows you to not like it
right. And you need to be consistent.
Right.
I feel like, and hopefully I have been, I've tried to be consistent and not treat somebody else different than somebody else, tried to stay. And we may get at any point, I mean, we're constantly gathering information, facts on the ground could change, just like with this development. If, we suddenly heard the bypass is coming and we got $50 million to fix Union Streets,
it's a different story.
It's a whole different ball game, but we've got to make our decision based on the facts of where they stand now. One of the things that was presented to us real quick this is a little bit getting in the weeds, but just to point one thing out, one of the issues with this is the intersection at Colorado and Union Street.
Oh, yeah.
It was presented to us, the fact, which I was aware of, that the city is actively looking for funding to fix that intersection. Needs fixed.
Right.
It needs fixed already.
Regardless, the way it stands today, it needs fixed.
Yeah. However, we don't have any guaranteed funding at this point.
Right.
So to make to approve something down here that if we approve it, we're very guaranteed that this is going to happen. Just on the promise that this might happen is bad. That's bad planning.
That's terrible.
That's the definition of putting the cart before the horse. Or
that's it. Exactly what it is. If that intersection was fixed, that would clear some of this backstream issue
some of that,
and that development. But you've got a problem right now as it exists that needs to be fixed. And so pouring more water into the cup just runs it over a little more.
The other solution, just I know we've dragged this out too far, is not, and this was not the ask, and I think I need to be careful with some of the wording that we used at the meeting. We can't go back and say, hey, developer, you've got to fix all our problems. It's not their job to fix our problems. What we're trying to say to them is we're not ready. It's not that they're not ready. They're ready. They're ready to build their development. But the city may not be ready for what they're ready to do.
And I'll hear David McGee bringing that up and just basically say, we're not ready for the city of Shelbyville is not ready. He framed that motion perfectly because that's exactly where we stand. The city of Shelbyville is not ready. And that's acknowledging that y'all are ready, but we're not ready for this. We're not prepared for this.
And that's just my opinion. That is a little bit of opinion. I mean, there's definitely people that have the opposite opinion.
But you're sitting in the middle of it, Josh. And I think if everybody used your logic and your decision-making process and kept the personalities out of it and who you are versus just the project itself, I think that would clear up a lot of the issues. But unfortunately,
there's always going to be.
We got human nature.
I mean, I know there's people that are emphatically on the other side of the and I don't hate any of them, and I hope they may hate me, but I don't.
Here's
I don't
the thing, Josh. I was talking to somebody this week that developers are not evil people. Without a developer, without a builder, I wouldn't have a home, Josh.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. We have to have them, but we also have to manage the city properly, or we can find ourselves in a real mess.
Right. Yeah.
So tough job you got there, buddy.
we are.
But you're doing
trying.
good. You're doing good.
Just last thing, we talked about all the residential units that were approved. There was one other approval that was on there. I think we talked about it went through BZA the other day. There was a final approval, so this will move forward. Now there's going to be, I'm going to call it a faith-based rehab facility. This is going in behind Livingstone's Church on Old Nashville Dirt Road. It's kind of like I think it's like drug and substance abuse rehab kind of thing. It's so that got approved. So that's going to at some point go under construction whenever they're ready. Last meeting I went to this week was kind of at the last second. I decided to go this Friday morning. I went to the County Election Commission meeting. Let me tell you, nobody goes to this meeting. This is less attended than the Railroad Authority meeting that I'm in. This one, I don't even know how many. I think there's only 5 or 6 on this commission. Even 2 of the members weren't at the meeting. That's how few people go to this meeting. But at this meeting, normally they would have set the entire ballot for the upcoming election, but there's a couple hiccups. So they have a almost ready ballot. But this week, the state Tennessee GOP, the Republican Party at the state level, sent a letter to all the election commissions around the state with a list of people and said, hey, take these people off your ballot for primary. They have the final controlling power of who gets on the primary ballot. So we had one local, and I mentioned in the article, one that I posted, one local candidate, which that was Miss Allie Puckett, who was running for county mayor. Right. She was, I believe, temporarily removed. It is my understanding. I've not gotten an official word yet, but it is my understanding that she has cleared up the hiccup with the state GOP, and there should be an updated list coming out.
I talked directly to Allie, and it's fixed.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating for her, to say the least.
I'm sure it was. And just a little bit in her defense. First, there was 149 names is one thing. But the other thing, if you actually read the list, this had some high-profile people.
Oh, yes.
Had the same hiccup, including the mayor of Rutherford County. The current sitting mayor of Rutherford County had a similar hiccup, and also one of the guys running for Rutherford County sheriff. So this was not just a local issue. This was a statewide issue.
It's all over the place.
So yeah, it was. And there was, we didn't post the list because I didn't want to steal somebody else's post. I think, is it Patriot Punk, I believe is the name.
Yeah, he posted the list.
If you go to the Patriot Punk, he's got the list of all 149. You can see there's names you'll recognize on that list. All had, most of them, actually, according to his reporting, we know what the one issue was. There were several issues there's different reasons that they can take you off the ballot. So, but all of these people have the ability to appeal or fix their issue.
Right.
And we hear that ours will be changed. So there will be a final list at some point. It's not final yet. And we're still waiting for our property assessor candidates to qualify. That will not happen until, I believe, March 17th. So we will not have a final ballot until March 17th, which is later than it would usually be. There's some additional discussion at this meeting. I think there's a possible liquor by the drink coming to Wartrace. It sounded like, however, or some kind of alcohol referendum. Anyways, I didn't write it down. I was thinking liquor, but the issue was they were waiting to hear back if they had a full-time police officer. There's something in the statute. They had to have something that they weren't certain they had. So that's what
that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, they've got a few little restaurants.
That are starting
to pop up. Maybe somebody wanted to sell drinks. So yeah. So we'll see how that goes, if there's any pushback in Wartrace or not. So with that, and man, we've gone long. I knew we would. That is every single meeting I went to that we're going to cover today. We could hear from our sponsors, I think, one more time, and then talk about the upcoming week.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Yep.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
When you're ready to buy or sell in Middle Tennessee, you want someone who knows this community inside and out. Meet Diane and Madison Arnold, Shelbyville's trusted real estate team with decades of local experience and award-winning results. Whether it's finding your dream home, pricing your property to sell, or navigating every step of the transaction with confidence, they're with you from start to finish. As part of Coldwell Banker Southern Realty, they pair hometown expertise with powerful market tools to help you move with confidence. Call Diane and Madison today and experience the personal service and local knowledge that makes all the difference.
For clear vision and trusted care, choose Cutting Edge Optical. We provide comprehensive eye exams, expert contact lens fittings, and a wide selection of quality frames to match your style and budget. Need glasses fast? We even offer same-day eyeglasses to keep you seeing clearly without the wait. Our experienced team is committed to personalized service and helping you see your best every day. Visit Cutting Edge Optical at 1114 North Main Street in Shelbyville, or call 931-488-5778 to schedule your appointment today.
All righty, welcome back to the weekend wrap-up. We do have a question that was brought to us that we just saw during the break. Evelyn Dye asked the question, isn't the development behind Victory Baptist in that area with access to 231 quite a different cup of tea than the Union Street situation? And Josh?
100%. Yes. If I implied that there was any comparison between them, that wasn't the point of the discussion of that one. But yeah, the one behind Victory Baptist is a big development, mainly townhomes. In addition to that, 150 is the Cedar Glade, I think is the name of it. There's also an apartment complex, but yeah, that has access to there's 5 lanes there, and in the that has access to a 5-lane road. And the issues that we had concerned about with that one were not traffic related. The reasons that I voted yes for it, even though I had to, swallow and take a deep breath, was that it is just the fact that one and also Cedar Glade PUD are very large and dense as far as townhomes and have very little active space.
No green space.
They have the required amount of green space, and that's what they have now. And that was what I was getting at with the developer. He did, on our kind of the initial pushback we gave him, he went ahead and added a playground and a couple other things. But if you were to build that development in Rutherford County and Williamson County, even in Davidson County, because of their standards, also I would say just market conditions, the fact you've got better competition there, a lot of those developments in a different area would have had a clubhouse and a pool and a couple other things that we aren't currently getting from developers in our area. So that was the issue. Yeah, that one did not have a big traffic issue. Now they did, and we had this discussion there at the end that there's going to be a need for a red light there at some point. We weren't able to tie that red light to this developer because there's so many different people involved. He said, I'd be willing to give a percentage. I said, well, just remember you said that on the record here tonight, because we need to get those. We don't want to leave the city on the hook for eventually upgrading that intersection when really the benefit is to all those developers. There's commercial going in there. There's a bunch of other townhomes. So we just want to make sure that upgrade infrastructure.
I know we've gone way over time, Josh, but I want to say something about the green space or the active space.
Yeah.
And here's what can happen when you don't have it. I drove into a neighborhood the other day that I frequent from time to time. And in that circle that I made, these houses are right on top of each other, very small backyards. Yeah. And I saw three things that was alarming. One, I saw a grill on the front porch and a guy cooking hamburgers.
Oh,
okay. All right. Then different. I come on down, and then I see a trampoline sitting in the front yard. In the front yard at another house. And then just past that, I saw kids had moved a basketball goal out into the street, and they were playing basketball in the street. You know why? Because they didn't have room in their driveway to do it. Okay. Yeah. This is the type stuff when you don't plan and you don't have place for kids or any kind of outdoor activity, you get this kind of mess. And this is degrading to the entire neighborhood, and it's nobody's fault other than how it was planned.
Yeah, it was just not planned well.
So that's a problem.
And we've made changes to that. Unfortunately, there have been loopholes found to our changes. So we're going to have to make additional changes to get these things right. But we made a first attempt to try to get to 30% open space in every new major subdivision in town. And then a couple people looked at that and figured out they could do some math where they just took out the asphalt and the building envelope and called everything else open space. So we've got to go back and update our definitions. That's on us. That was a miss from getting that regulation tight enough. Right. And that does, and that the pushback we'll get from developers, we always do, is that's going to raise the cost of, this and that. But we want to have a good product when it's all said and done. We don't want to have bad neighborhoods because these neighborhoods are going to be here, assuming they hold up. I don't know about current construction is, but assuming they hold up and they're here in 30 and 40 years, we don't want to be stuck with a bad neighborhood for 30 or 40 years.
All right, there's one other comment Brady Turner makes. We should attract a small brewery into town as a tourist and entertainment value. The brewery could have an outdoor space and event value. It's a good idea, and that idea was coming into fruition until recently, and that got tied up into the.
It's currently on hold, but that is still an active idea to come off the square. So I don't know if it's ever going to happen or not. But that
might have to take somebody else coming in to do it.
Yeah, definitely under discussion.
All right, Josh.
Real quick, upcoming week, and this will be easy and quick. The county is not meeting at all. There's no county meetings. This is the week of the month that they don't have one. First week of the month, no meeting. City of Chevville, we are meeting Tuesday evening for a city council study session. There will likely, I hope, be extensive discussion of the Remington Farms PUD, as well as I believe there's a couple grants we're looking at. We're looking at that strategic plan that we had that meeting about the other day. They're going to give us a paper copy of that. No, I can't remember what all that's on the agenda, but there'll be lots of exciting city related things Tuesday evening at the old Chamber of Commerce building down there across from the dinner tables. So that's the big meeting. Now I do have other meetings. Honestly, I've got an HOA meeting this week. That's fun. That's going to be fun. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I probably will not report on that one. If it gets really exciting and there's, fist fight or something, maybe I'll bring it. But,
hopefully not. Hopefully and Josh, you get a little bit of a break, meeting. But something's always lurking.
There's something's always. And we'll get a lot of court filings probably on the Uncle Nearest thing for sure will happen this week because they have a second deadline of Thursday, I believe. Yeah. So,
All righty.
Plenty going on.
Thanks, everybody, for watching and hanging in there with us for this long edition. A lot to talk about today, and it took a little while. So we thank you for hanging with us. Thanks for the comments and questions. As always, have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
So long.